and welcome to my YouTube channel, Living in Chicagoland Suburbs. Today we're going to address the issue of buyer's agency and what the buyer actually does for his client, the buyer. Now that we are required by the National Association of Realtors to have a signed buyer's compensation agreement, it's only fair that the buyer knows what it is we're going to do for them for this rather substantial amount of money that they're going to be responsible for in the compensation agreement. Many people think, oh well, they're just, they find us a house and they present an offer for us and then we go to closing. It's considerably more complicated than that, and the responsibilities of that buyer's agent are significantly more compelling and more important to the buyer than might be seen at first blush. Obviously, the first thing that we want to do when we have a call from a potential client is to meet that client in person. We're going to have to meet them for two reasons. One is we're going to have to learn what they're looking for in the purchase if we haven't already determined that over the phone. And once again, we're going to have that buyer's agreement signed to and agreed to by the buyer for the buyer's agent's compensation. Once we've met with them and exchanged pleasantries and we've addressed the issue of the buyer's agent's agreement, the next step is to determine what it is that the client needs. What are they looking for in the purchase of their real estate property? There are two aspects to this. One is we need to know what the absolute needs are of the client. For example, how many bedrooms must they have? How many baths? How many garage spaces? I'll address all of those factual things. Obviously, price tag. And so we have to address those things, but we want to know maybe what their dreams are as well. What's the wish list that they might have? They might say, we want to we really like the water. We'd like a waterfront property, or we need acreage because we have some large dogs and so on and so forth. Or there may be specific things like we need this school district for our children. We need this neighborhood because we have friends who live in close proximity to it and family as well. So we find out what their absolute needs are along with their wish list. And then that helps the agent to create a search for the properties that would meet those needs, and certainly the needs, and maybe also some of the wish list as well. So that's the next thing that we do is provide this search for them in the multiple listing service, in the MLS as they call it. Once we've established that, and the advantage, the really critical item here to be discussed is as soon as a property meeting the criteria that our buyer has expressed to us, as soon as a property comes on the market like that, it is automatically sent to the client via email, and they have the actual listing sheet sitting in front of them so that they can look at the photos that the agent has provided, the seller's agent has provided, and get some notion as to whether they want to purchase that. Now, obviously, there's a spread in terms of the price range and etc. But anytime that they find something that seems attractive to them and seems to meet the needs that they have, and maybe even some of the wish list, they contact their buyer's agent and say, okay, let's go take a look at place and this place. Maybe they have two or three that they'd like to see at a single showing. Given our marketplace right now, where the properties are few and far between, finding a couple that meet our needs is critical, and the timeliness of finding out about that property is also critical, and the going to see it as quickly as possible is important. The reason being that the inventory is so low, we want to, if we really find the property attractive to the buyer, we need to make an offer on it as quickly as possible so that it doesn't get sold out from under us. So that search is a critical part of the buyer's process. Okay, so once we have found that property that they want and they are prepared to make an offer, the next job of that buyer's agent is to find comparable properties in the area, sometimes in the same neighborhood, sometimes even the same model of home that they are purchasing or want to purchase. We find those comparables because it's critical to us to know what properties in that neighborhood have sold for, so that we don't overpay and certainly don't insult the seller by underpaying in our offer. So there's another critical job that the buyer's agent performs. Once they've agreed on a purchase price, a closing date, determined, we've passed up one very important factor here. One of the other offerings that the buyer's agent makes to his buyer or her buyer is a lending company, a mortgage broker, or a mortgage bank. We at Baird & Warner are very fortunate to have an affiliate that's connected directly to Baird & Warner, Key Mortgage. Key Mortgage is one of the more reputable brokerages in the business. They find excellent products that meet the needs and the expectations of that buyer. If you already are working with a bank or another broker, I normally recommend a second opinion. Oftentimes that second opinion can be very valuable, either to justify the broker or bank that you have, or more importantly, that you've got a better offer from Key Mortgage. They have a 72 plus capture rate on second opinions. So obviously they're doing something right, and they have some products that are quite attractive to buyers. So once we've provided you with that lender, and at that same time we probably suggest an attorney to you that deals exclusively in real estate. Once you have those two professional organizations working for you, and we make the offer, you're prepared to deal with a counter offer when it comes. So we present the offer as you and your buyer's agent have collaborated on and compared and come up with what everybody thinks is a fair offer. You make that to the seller. The seller then is obligated to provide a counteroffer to you, or to accept the one that you've presented. More often than not, you're going to receive a counter that addresses a closing date or a price tag or a earnest money situation. So let's say we receive the counter. Now it's the job of your realtor, your buyer's agent, to discuss with you whether this is a good counter, whether they're being unreasonable, etc., and then in order to prepare your response to that seller's counteroffer. Once the point is reached where everybody's in accord on all the various aspects of the offer, the next job of the buyer's agent is to provide his buyer with a home inspector, licensed and experienced home inspector that can go in, and that inspector's job is to inspect the mechanicals of the property, the various appliances. Sometimes you deal with the issue of radon, sometimes you deal with the issue of a septic system if it's a home built on a septic and well system. So that inspector's job is to find if there are any things misrepresented, or if there's something that's functioning or not functioning that we were told was functioning, etc. Once that inspection report is provided to the buyer, once again they meet with their agent to determine are there issues here that have to be addressed. The spindles on the upper level balcony too wide apart to meet code in today's marketplace. There can be countless things. The disposal is not functioning properly. The water heater is not functioning properly. All of these things may come up in that home inspection. And now, in essence, you are going to find yourself renegotiating with the seller to address the various issues that your home inspector has found that are not meeting your expectations, or they're contrary to what the seller has told you. So we renegotiate those issues, get them resolved, all gets turned over to the attorney. The attorney comes up with the proper language. He has reviewed the contract and found that it's copacetic. So now, once all of those issues have been addressed and resolved, The next step is to close on the property at whatever date has been agreed to by the buyer and the seller. The next issue is for the buyer's agent to make sure that the process runs smoothly and that all of the various issues are addressed with the lender. For example, the buyer's lender has to meet certain deadlines in terms of getting the mortgage. The seller has to has certain responsibilities to make sure that they meet with the appraiser. They have to have surveys prepared for the property in question, and so on and so forth. And it's the buyer's agent's job to make sure that all of this process is running smoothly and on time, according to the time requirements of the contract. Assuming that all runs smoothly, we get to the day before the closing, and now the buyer's agent's responsibility is to make sure that they have a walkthrough of the property just prior to the closing table, to make sure that all of the issues that have been brought up in the course of in the process of the purchase, inspection, etc., have all of those issues been met. Is the microwave working now? Is the disposal functioning properly? So on and so forth. Any things that were brought up that needed to be addressed by the seller in the time that they brought to his or her attention to the closing date, we want to be sure that all those have happened. Once we know that, we go to the closing. There are no glitches that are going to occur. A buyer's agent has also dealt with the lender to be sure that funds have been processed and they are available. There are no outstanding issues that the lender needs to be provided by the buyer, etc. Now we come to the closing table. The buyer is there. If they haven't already pre-signed the documents, they're there to sign all the nice stack of paper that their attorney will walk them through. Experienced attorneys are going to know what each document represents and how and why the buyer is going to have to sign and initial here and there. So when all that's completed and the forms have been passed on to the closing agent, the presentations have been made, all the docs have been sent to the title company. The title company looks at everything, says, okay, everything's copacetic, we'll issue the funds. And so then the agent, the buyer's, not appraisal, closing agent, title company's closing agent will present the checks to the various people there. The big one going to the seller, obviously, another check going to the seller's brokerage, and then a check that will be coming from them or the closing agent going to the buyer's side of the table. So we haven't addressed the issue of buyer's agent's compensation. That was in another video that we had in weeks previous. So go to that. Or if you feel like you need some explanation why, please feel free to call me, 847-651-2582. If you found this video compelling or interesting, and you want to hear more issues that we address in this YouTube channel, why please hit the subscribe button and you'll be alerted as to when anything new comes out, and you'll have access to all of the previous videos that we have out there that address various issues of the real estate market, even including things like where to eat in the Chicagoland suburbs, where to be entertained, where the museums are, how are they, which museums should I go and see, so on and so forth. Subscribe to the channel and you'll have access to all that, and you'll be notified whenever something new comes on. We try to get one or two of these videos out each week to keep our constituency aware of what's going on in the real estate world. Obviously, we've gone through some rather major changes this particular year. The August 17th deadline for buyer's agreements, buyer's compensation agreements, now being the mandate of the NAR throughout the country. So you can't go to Tennessee and find it any differently. You're going to still have to sign with those if you're a buyer. Once again, dmciesil, Baird & Warner Real Estate, 847-651-2582. Have a pleasant day. I hope you enjoyed our session today, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future. Take care. Ta-ta for now.